am honored to welcome our first keynote speakers to the stage, GEM co-founders, Steve Bartel and Nick Bushak. Today, Steve and Nick will shine a light on the current state of recruiting and share how GEM, our customers, partners, and advisors are reimagining hiring today. Everyone, please join me in giving them a warm welcome to the stage. Steve, over to you to get us started today.
Thanks, Marissa, and hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to our second annual GEM Talent Summit. We have a great agenda in store for you today. One of my favorite things about GEM Talent Summit is the opportunity to hear directly from all of you. As I look around here, I am thrilled to see so many customers and thought leaders representing every industry, from automotive to finance to healthcare to gaming, e-commerce. I could go on and on. Collectively, you all represent some of the best brands and most innovative companies. And I hope you enjoy what we have planned for today. Our team has worked hard to put together a lot of fantastic speakers, sessions, and panels that will empower you to do more with your role, with our product, and with your organizations. This year's theme is Hiring Reimagined. This theme especially resonates with me when I think about how many iterations and changes recruiting teams have had to go through over the last 18 months. Not very long ago, many of you were in the front lines dealing with hiring freezes, layoffs, and furloughs. And now we find ourselves a short time later in one of the most competitive hiring markets in recent memory. You've had to pause, pivot, reevaluate, and pivot again multiple times. Simply put, you've been firing on all cylinders to keep up with business needs, all the while reinventing candidate experience for this new world we live in. So kudos to all of you for your hard work and tenacity. When we first met in November of last year for the first annual GEM Talent Summit, many of us were still figuring out what the global pandemic meant for the nature of work. Would companies expect their employees to return to the office soon? Would employees even be open to changing jobs during these uncertain times? How long would all of this last? Here we are now, a mere 10 months later, with some of these questions answered and others not even close to having an answer. There are some changes, though, that have certainly come to fruition, ones that are forcing us to rethink how we engage in the business of recruiting. Let's start with the one that most of you have to deal with every single day, the job market. Over the past year, many people have taken time off as they reevaluate what's next for their careers. Some have decided to switch careers entirely, and others have simply quit. All of these factors and more have led to what many are calling the Great Resignation. On top of that, a recent CNBC article just referenced a study that shows 55% of people in the workforce who currently have a job said they are likely to look for a new job in the next 12 months. More than half of the workforce. So we have the demand for talent getting stronger every single day as businesses continue to grow, but the supply just hasn't caught up. And on top of that, the existing talent today is actively looking for new opportunities. Put this all together, and we're now at this inflection point where talent acquisition is more competitive than ever, and talent acquisition has never been more business critical. So it's no surprise that companies big and small are reimagining hiring, and that starts with larger investments into the talent acquisition function itself. And I feel super grateful that GEM gets to be a partner to so many incredible customers that are making these investments. Companies that value hiring the right people, are doing it at scale, and are seeing these investments pay off. If I can congratulate just a few of our customers real quick, 1/3 of the businesses that made the Cloud 100 this year are all GEM customers. And half of the top 10 biggest IPOs from this year partner with GEM. So Robinhood, Coinbase, Roblox, Affirm, Procore, Confluent, Compass, Clover Health, Coursera, Poshmark, and so many more. Congratulations on your tremendous success, your incredible IPO stories this year, and thank you for letting us be a part of your journey. You all are perfect examples of organizations that have publicly prioritized and supported talent acquisition, and those investments have clearly paid off. Over the last years, I've observed that people who chose to make their careers in talent acquisition tend to value networking and sharing best practices and new learnings with their community. So I won't be surprised to hear that TA teams at these successful organizations will be called upon today to share the secrets to their success. And I'm excited for the continued elevation of talent acquisition teams in fast-growing, successful companies everywhere. Another major change that we've seen is our workplaces, or lack thereof. Since last year, more businesses have continued to announce a permanent shift to hybrid or remote work. And this phenomenon is radically changed how talent acquisition teams are thinking about finding quality talent. Recruiting teams are no longer constrained to major cities. Some of our most forward-looking customers are expanding into new markets and reimagining their hiring strategies. One of them, for example, has built out new remote talent pools that capture leads from various non-metropolitan locations. They have fine-tuned their outreach sequences, their branding, their content to focus on the remote-friendly work environment and perks. And this has led to higher conversion rates and strong footholds in promising yet still largely untapped markets. They've met their hiring goals every single quarter for this past year, with remote workers accounting for a significant portion of their new hires. As stories like this become more common, we're going to see more and more business leaders ask talent acquisition how they can fill the gaps with remote employees. One of the biggest and most important changes we've seen is that business leaders are placing a greater emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. Last year at GEM Talent Summit, we talked quite a bit about the energized commitment to creating more diverse workplaces, following the history-changing social justice movements we witnessed and many of us participated in last summer. After firmly committing or recommitting to support diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, many organizations are now doing the hard but critical work of making progress towards these promises. And here again, we find talent acquisition teams playing a key role. At GEM, we know that diverse backgrounds and diverse perspectives lead to better business outcomes. It's why diversity has been one of our 4 core values from the very beginning. It's also why we're committed to supporting our customers in their diversity efforts. We want to see them thrive. So we've invested in building solutions to help you recruit with DEI in mind. And I'll be diving into that more in just a little bit. With that said, all of these major changes in the recruiting landscape have influenced how we've spent the last year at GEM, expanding on the solutions that we offer to our customers. We know that senior leaders are paying close attention to talent acquisition. So we've invested in talent pipeline analytics that help talent leaders manage their teams, capacity plan, track KPIs, and communicate their progress to an executive audience. In fact, we've put an extra focus on delivering reliable executive dashboards that Nick will show in more detail shortly. We also recently acquired a company called Resource, and I couldn't be more excited. Resource has built a great business and shares in our mission to develop an all-in-one platform for sourcing and recruiting. With these and other investments in the product, we're seeing more hypergrowth companies rely on us to meet their hiring goals. The GEM customer base has increased to over 800 incredible companies. That means tens of thousands of recruiters are doing amazing work in GEM to find, attract, and nurture top talent. Our business as a whole has grown 3 times compared to this time last year, and all of this confirms one thing, that talent acquisition is getting the attention it deserves, and that many of these forward-thinking businesses recognize that GEM solves a real need for them. Our growth, our high-velocity product innovation, along with these exciting new partnerships we announced, are actually a testament to a clear trend. This clear trend is that talent acquisition in particular, and HR in general, have now moved to the center of digital transformation of businesses. And thanks to the transformative work that your teams have pushed for, over $1 billion of investment has flown into the HR tech industry in just the past year. This means better technology, better products, and solutions for everyone. And we feel privileged to be a part of this story and are very much looking forward to being a partner in your journey. With all that said, all these exciting changes and growth is what fuels our investment in building a world-class solution for you and your talent acquisitions teams, which my co-founder, Nick, is now going to dive into. Nick, over to you.
Thanks, Steve. It's great to be here with everyone. Really excited for today. Steve just shared a great summary of the industry over the past year, and everything he's mentioned has meant one thing in particular, executives care more than ever about talent acquisition. As talent acquisition leaders yourself, I bet many of you have started to feel that more eyes are on you and your team these days, especially when it comes to talent acquisition's role in helping the business meet growth targets. TA doesn't exist in a bubble anymore, segmented from the rest of the company. CEOs care, COOs care, CFOs care, and CTOs care. Executives want to understand what's happening, they want visibility, and they want to weigh in on strategies, decisions, and progress. They want a partner that can help them scale their teams and succeed. I've been happy and excited to see GEM's customers, you and your teams, proudly taking your seat at the table. Your work is something everyone has their eye on, has an opinion on, and may want to get involved in. This is a great thing. At GEM, we want to arm you with data and analytics you need to report on your success and drive decisions in a language that resonates with the C-suite. With this in mind, I'm excited to share more on the investment we've made on our analytics solution. The first one is what we call executive dashboards. In just a matter of clicks, you can create a tiled view of 5 to 6 key metrics of your choosing, giving you a quick snapshot of recruiting progress and where you see opportunities to grow. The best part is you can filter these analytics by department, office, hiring manager, or even custom job fields, so you can tailor your conversations to resonate with your audience, whether that's the C-suite, a recruiting team, or a hiring manager. For customers that haven't used our executive dashboards yet, let's first walk through an example of a dashboard you can create and how you can use it to facilitate those conversations with senior leadership. So I'm going to start by heading over to our new dashboards page. We're going to create a dashboard now, but as you can see, you can actually create dashboards for different audiences. Here we've got a dashboard for our engineering, product, and design teams, and a dashboard for our go-to-market executives. But let's go ahead and create a new one. I'll do that by clicking New Dashboard up top, and we'll call this one Executive Summary. We can add all sorts of filters here, including, for example, job, hiring manager, and beyond, including, for example, department if you want to create a dashboard for a specific department. But for simplicity, let's just leave no filters on and create a new dashboard. Now, the nice thing is we'll actually pre-fill a few things in here for you when you create a new one. But to help explain how this works, we're actually just going to go ahead and start with a blank one. So let's start off by adding some widgets to answer questions that the C-suite would care about. First, let's add hires by month. This gives us an overall picture of company and department growth. And then let's also add average time to hire. This one tells us whether we're hiring people in a reasonable amount of time or whether we need to find ways to streamline the process. The next set of metrics we add here are great at a bird's eye view, but also could be ones that are especially useful if we slice and dice by department, office, team, and other filters. By doing that slicing, you can then have a more productive conversation with the functional leads of each team and partner with them on helping them grow successfully. So the next one that we want to add is offer acceptance rate. This tells us whether we're closing candidates that we like. Finally, offer rejection reasons. And this tells us for those people that we are losing, why they're dropping out. And then another common question is, well, what sources are working for the candidates that we do close? And so here we've just added a module to answer that question. And finally, where are we with gender parity overall? And that's, again, just a click away like all of these other modules. So these are just a handful of the metrics we can use with dashboards. There are a few more that have been released, and we plan to add additional widgets based on customer feedback. So if you already know the executive metrics you need to report on, we want to hear about them. In fact, you can actually click on the top right screen here where it says send feedback to directly share your thoughts. And anything you enter here goes straight to the product team. So dashboards give you a bird's eye view for your cross-functional partners and encourages thoughtful discussions on how and where to potentially improve. But as we all know, the devil is always in the details. Our goal is to help you dive into those details so you can diagnose, debug, and optimize your recruiting performance. That's where pipeline analytics comes into play. Up until recently, our only customers with pipeline analytics had the Greenhouse applicant tracking system, but we've doubled down on our ATS partnerships, and I'm happy to announce that pipeline analytics will now be available for our customers that use Smart Recruiters, Workday, and Lever. So let's take a look at how we can transition from our bird's eye view to the finer details. Let's use the last metric in this dashboard, hires by gender, as an example. Let's say we review this data at the engineering department and see that our hiring class is significantly male heavy. We know that this is a macro trend across many businesses. We still think we can achieve greater parity. So I've gone ahead here and filtered in pipeline analytics by the engineering department. And with pipeline analytics, we now have the opportunity to review how women pass through each step of the recruiting process compared to men, identify where the discrepancy lies, and diagnose potential solutions. So in this example, we see applications from women actually pass through at a higher rate than men overall. This may suggest a top of funnel issue. We may just need to get more women into the funnel through sourcing or other means. But if you look more closely, there are a few other things we can spot about this example. First of all, once women get on-site, they're actually much more likely to get an offer than men. But in earlier stages, especially from phone screens to on-site, they're passing through less often than men. And we can see that right here. This doesn't necessarily suggest bias in pre-on-site stages, and we don't know the reasons for this just yet, but this type of visibility allows you to have a more productive conversation with engineering leads and work together to understand if there are opportunities to create a more level playing field for all candidates. In fact, I believe Steve has a great story from one of our customers that did a similar exercise to this one, so I'll save that feel-good moment for him. But the goal of our investment in these new tools is to empower you with real data to drive productive discussions. So far, feedback from early dashboards users have been really positive. One example is Peloton. The team there uses GEM dashboards to make sure they're aligned with their executive team and are making progress on their DEI initiatives. As always, we're excited to hear your feedback as well as we iterate to make GEM dashboards even better. Steve, back over to you.
Thanks, Nick. And I believe we're going to hear from Peloton today. Nick, such a cool product demo. You know, when it comes to bringing new products to market, the thing that fires all of us up here at GEM is the impact we get to have with our customers, especially in areas that are so important like diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I wanted to take a moment to share one of those stories just to add a little bit more color to Nick's demo. This is the story of one particular TA leader and team who have been using GEM diversity analytics to debug what's happening in their hiring funnel when it came to underrepresented groups moving through their pipeline, a public company we partner with in the online collaboration space. If you've attended any GEM events over the last few years where we've talked about using data to inform strategies for building diverse teams, you would have almost certainly heard us say, you can't improve what you don't measure. This TA leader was committed to that idea and was using GEM's diversity analytics dashboard to debug their team's hiring funnel. There were two areas this leader and team were looking to improve. The first area was to understand why the gender breakdown showed that candidates who identified as women were not passing the coding challenge at the same rates as candidates who identified as men. They sat down with the hiring team, including the head of engineering and the interviewing team, to discuss what might be happening and where there might be a lack of equity in the process. One hypothesis was that there may be a difference in expectations regarding what the coding exercise would entail, which may account for the discrepancy in pass-through rates. So the team had an idea to find out what would happen if they sent a short explainer video to all candidates prior to the coding challenge. They thought it might help level the playing field and assure that all candidates of all genders were coming in with the same expectations, scope, and context. They implemented this change and watched the dashboard to see how candidates progressed through the funnel. And guess what? That one change made all the difference. This team saw the conversion rates even out by gender. The other area this team was focused on was identifying which sources were bringing in talent from underrepresented groups at the very top of the funnel. They took a look at their pipeline analytics, and they noticed that they simply were not attracting people with diverse backgrounds from referrals or job boards. Armed with this data, they made strategic changes to their sourcing strategies. First, they invited team members from departments with open recs to join the TA team for referral sourcing jams and guided the team through the process of analyzing their networks and referring past colleagues beyond the first or second person that came to mind, with diversity-specific searches at the forefront. Next, the TA team evaluated which third-party job boards they were using to post jobs and made a concerted effort to post positions on boards where they expected more people from underrepresented groups to find postings and apply. Job boards like Fairy Godboss and lesbianswhotech.org. These two changes to the sourcing strategy, driven by the insights discovered in GEM pipeline analytics, led to a pipeline of talent that more closely represented the population of their city versus the rest of tech, and has helped the organization make improvements towards their goal of building a diverse workforce. This story is just one example of how TA teams can make a real difference in how businesses scale. So kudos to the talent acquisition leaders and teams who drove these changes. All of these changes started with having good, reliable data that could tell a story. And armed with that knowledge, these innovators were able to make the right decisions for their organizations. To wrap things up, just as we could have never expected how the past year and a half would play out, it's hard to say what's in store for talent acquisition for the coming year. But there is one thing that's certain. The strategic nature of your roles in talent acquisition are only going to increase as the nature of work continues to evolve and competition for talent becomes harder and harder. We will all be expected to reimagine hiring. As we move forward, we at GEM want to be your partner in navigating these changes and finding new ways to make progress together. Thank you for joining us here today at our second annual GEM Talent Summit. Thank you for representing our industry so well, and I look forward to seeing you again next year, maybe even in person at GEM Talent Summit 2022.